Welcome. You're listening to the I'm Wired to Inspire podcast, creatively engineered by Nicole, the inspiration specialist. I'm Wired to Inspire is a powerfully packed podcast filled with inspiration and encouragement to get you through your day. It's designed to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Now, stay tuned for your host, Nicole, the inspiration specialist, on today's episode of I'm Wired to Inspire.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast. I'm Nicole, the inspiration specialist, and I'm wired to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Today's topic is called Billow. Billow is not a common word. It's B-I-L-L-O-W. I know some of you saw it and said, man, what is this girl talking about? Well, it's going to make sense in a second. But I was thinking about how balloons, like when you pump air into a balloon and it stretches out, right? The word and definition of billow means to move or flow outward with an undulating motion. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with the word undulating, it basically means that it's smoothly rising and falling form or outline, which means that it's basically slowly but surely flowing outward in motion. So it starts small, and as you fill it up, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it just completely swells into something beautiful. That's what billowing is. So that's what a balloon does. When you fill a balloon with air, it billows. You guys, I don't know if you ever remember, but there used to be this thing like back in the 60s and 70s, and the ladies would wear like these poodle skirts, and like they might be walking on the sidewalk, and the air might, there might be like a vent, and the air will make their skirt like fly up, and it'll billow up in the air, and they have to push their hands down to keep their skirt down. Well, that's what a billow is also, right? Well, I started thinking, and I said, God, you know what? Just like these balloons billow out, they fill up and they look beautiful. You fill them with air and then boom, they're beautiful. They start as these little tiny things that you can hold in your hand. And then it turns into something completely different over time. It begins to expand. Once you give it the air, you give it the life, so to speak, it begins to fill up. And I just had this weird thought, and I said, Lord, you know what? Maybe it's not so weird. I want to billow into blessings. And I really started thinking about that. I said, you know what? I want to share that with everybody. Because just think about it. When you have a balloon, it's because you start to fill it with air. You start to fill it with something. So why don't you think about some things in your life that if you filled it with your wisdom, filled it with your time, filled it with your expertise, with your experience, fill it with your knowledge. You guys see where I'm going with this. And imagine when you take someone, you fill it with those positive and great things, it will begin to billow out. And I said, Lord, you know what? I want to billow into blessings. Because let me tell you what happens, y'all, with this word. It's smooth. Okay? It talks about it being smooth. It talks about it flowing. So essentially, we want to flow into blessings. Not only do we want to billow into them and expand into more and more and more and get as big as we possibly can with it, but what we see through that process of something billowing out, just like with a balloon, y'all, it takes time. But it also takes effort. And moreover, it doesn't take a long time when you focus and you do it consistently. You notice how when you blow up a balloon, you can't blow up a little bit and sitting down and come back and blow up the rest later. You notice that, right? To blow up a balloon, for it to billow out, it has to be consistent for a focused amount of time. How many of you have some things that you are expecting blessings to billow out from, but you are not focused? You pick it up and you sit it down. I ain't never seen a balloon where you could put some air in it and sit it down and have it untied, and you can come back and pick up where you left off. No, all the air that was in there, you lost it. So folks, trust me when I tell you, When I started to think about that and all of the things that I know that I've really been wanting to do that requires my focus and consistency, and I have not been able to successfully complete it, that made me realize that some of the blessings that I want to billow into, they're not even there for the taking yet because I have not done what I needed to do consistently that God has told me to do in order to receive it. So I don't know if that applies to you. I don't know if that affects you in any way, but it might affect someone you know. Please share it if you feel led to. But today, y'all, we want to ask God to help us billow into blessings. We want to make sure we have that flow. We want to make sure that we have that focus and making sure that we do not deviate from the plan that God has given us. We want that thing to move in such a way that when it puffs up and it puffs out and it bulges out, even when it fills out, when it swells, you want to be able to get every drop of it. You want to get the fullness of it. All of those things talk about fullness, y'all. Expanding, bulging out. We usually think of these words like negative, like you're getting fat or, something is just uncomfortable, busting at the seams. Well, y'all, wouldn't that be dope if that was blessings, though? What if it was blessings bulging at the seams? What if you were fat with blessings? What if you were full with the blessings of God? So that's what we want. We want to billow out into these blessings. We want to make sure that if it requires air from us, which is action, which is productivity, which is us staying focused on the things that he wants us to do. If it requires that from us consistently for a short period of time to get the finished product, to get the blessing, then make sure you are in position to do it. I'm wired to inspire. I hope you are too.
Thanks for listening to I'm Wired to Inspire podcast at I'mWiredToInspire.com. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word and be sure to hit the 5-star rating on iTunes. For more information on this podcast and inspirational products and services, log on to I'mWiredToInspire.com. And remember to live your authentic purpose. Thanks again and see you next time.